I just wanted to also maybe change the topic a little bit and go into a bit more of your, like, digging into a bit more of your specific knowledge.
Okay, cool.
We did talk a little bit about the ingredients of ayahuasca. We've mentioned some general things that people were probably interested in, but if we can go a little bit deeper now into more subtle ingredients of what to put in the ayahuasca, and I think you said something about the vine's age. How do these affect the brew?
Yeah, I mean, the standard brew for ayahuasca is the ayahuasca vine and the chacruna leaf. So the ayahuasca is kind of like the main constituent, and then the admix of the leaf adds the kind of cosmic DMT kind of element to it. I'm a great proponent of just using those two ingredients. There are admixes you can add from some of those dieta plants that I mentioned, Alsacha, Makura. Even people add tobacco sometimes. People add other medicines as well. I think it's a very special process making ayahuasca, especially when you make it on the dieta. You can add a lot of intentionality into the brew, and especially because of the way that I work, and I get an opportunity to, even before a ceremony, I normally connect with every single participant individually and give them an opportunity to share a little bit about their story so that we can work on intentions. And just if I have that information in my consciousness, it can really help within the ceremonial space to give these people assistance to work with those stuff. And then of course we have the intentions at the beginning and also at the end. So there's this whole process happening, and I may not remember everything word for word in my consciousness, but it all goes into my subconscious. Then when you're in the dieta process and you're in this very sensitive space and you're then cooking the medicine, I then put that intention back into the brew. So it's kind of like there's a refining process happening on a physical level with making the medicine, but also with the energy of the circles that I hold and the people. That energy is being refined, and it's a constant evolutionary process, and that's also going into the intentionality of the brew. So it's like a really, really magical process. And I think people who've worked and sat in circle with me over the last 10, 11 years have probably, well, not probably, we've all seen the evolution of the space and and the refinement of that process, and it's super magical. Going back to the more physical state of making the brew, there are different varieties of ayahuasca. The most common one that most people are familiar with and have probably drank is the Cielo ayahuasca. And that's quite a light brew, which is nice for people who are just starting to drink, because it's not too heavy on the kind of detoxing and nausea, but at the same time it MAOI, it activates the DMT, and gives a little bit of the more kind of like integrative body healing that you get from the medicine, but not so much. Moving on from there, you have the Boa ayahuasca, which is the one that kind of spirals up, kind of a lot of them spiral up, but it's kind of like the one that can look very, very fat, and it's often a number of vines that are all kind of twisted together, called Boa because it's a bit like the boa constrictor. Yeah, exactly, the boa. And then you get Shishupi, which is much more bitter, but it's a more deeper kind of healing vine. And then you get the Negro, which is the black ayahuasca. There's actually about 27 at the moment. They reckon there's about 27 different varieties of ayahuasca, but they can pretty much generally be classed into these 4 categories. Cooking the vine, yes, of course, has an effect as well. The age of the vine has an effect as well. So generally the older the vine is, the more kind of wisdom and alkaloids, on a purely chemical level, it's going to hold more stuff, but also energetically it's been around for a longer time. It's a bit like wisdom of the elders kind of thing. There's that kind of thing. So an older vine has got more wisdom, and the length of time you cook it for as well can affect the brew as well, and also how you cook it. You can cook it in harmony with the cycles of nature. So for example, like you could cook it with the moon, say from new moon to full moon, if you want something that's more kind of like an energizing brew, or you could cook it from full moon to new moon if you want something that's more kind of introspective and maybe would be good for people when they're about to go on a dieta or some kind of detox, or people who want to go really kind of deep into their kind of kind of personal process. So there's a whole, I could spend a whole video talking about the kind of intricacies of cooking that. I think
it's good to give people an insight into this stuff, because it when you educate people on the different possibilities, then they can make a more informed decision for what's right for them.